President Biden recently issued an executive order that puts limits on the number of asylum seekers allowed to cross the U.S.-Mexico border once the average number of daily encounters hits a certain level. Delia Salvatierra of the Salvatierra Law Group joins us now to explain what the order does and what it doesn't do. And boy, this could get kind of complicated, so that's why we asked you here. And thanks for showing up and doing this for us. We appreciate it. What exactly does this order mandate?
This order is a proclamation under the Immigration Nationality Act that permits the president to have wide sweeping power to exclude individuals, non-citizens, who pose a threat to the United States. And the president has determined that the large number of people coming across the border is a threat to the United States because Border Patrol does not have the resources to process these individuals in a timely and lawful way.
Focuses on those without prior authorization, correct?
Correct. It is only non-citizens who do not have authority to enter. So in essence, it's individuals who present themselves at a port of entry along the southern border seeking asylum.
Turns them away means what? What happens to these people?
Well, there is a negotiation with Mexico that these individuals can return and remain in Mexico.
And that's about it, huh?
And that's about it. But individuals who are intercepted trying to enter the United States illegally, rather than just present themselves at a port of entry, there's a new docket for them, and that's an expedited removal proceeding, which is an expulsion, a quicker expulsion process from the United States. And that process obviously requires a tremendous number of judges adjudicating these cases at the border remotely, primarily, and CBP officers. So they can be removed immediately.
Okay, so, and again, the limit hits at a certain point over a certain period of time, correct?
Correct. So since before the Obama administration, there have been over 5,000 to 7,000 daily attempts to enter the United States seeking asylum. This proclamation by President Biden limits the numbers by no more than 2,500 in a 7-calendar day period. Therefore, if more than 2,500 individuals attempt to enter the southern border in a 7-calendar period time frame, then the proclamation goes into effect.
So is it 2,500 total, or is it like a 7-day daily average?
Daily average.
So but that's still a lot of folks.
Absolutely. Absolutely it is. But under the Biden administration, they were tempered in this proclamation by lawsuits, primarily those lawsuits that President Trump lost while in office, using the same authority to ban non-citizens during the COVID-19 pandemic.
As far as the number is concerned, though, I mean, is each port of entry, are they in contact with each other? We're getting close, up, we hit the limit. How does that work?
The proclamation calls on the Secretary of Homeland Security to determine how many individuals are processed and come to the port of entry on any given day. So there is now very much so effective immediately at 12:01 a.m. June 5th. The border has to report, I'm assuming hourly, on the numbers that are coming across.
Okay.
And that means that goes into effect because there never has been, probably in the last 10, 12 years, any number lower than 4,000 in a day.
Wow.
So this proclamation, in effect, will remain in effect.
Okay, and already there is a court challenge on this. We knew it was going to happen, didn't take long.
Absolutely. Just very similar to the litigation against President Trump during the COVID-19 pandemic, where the Trump administration lost. Here again, I think that the Biden administration attempts to make the proclamation narrowly tailored so that it's tied to the well-being of the interests of the country. But again, they were sued by the ACLU, I believe 2 days ago, and it raises similar challenges that the president does not have authority under the INA to exclude certain non-citizens under the statute. Again, I think the proclamation makes very clear that who must act is Congress.
Well, and the administration made it very clear that the reason they're doing this is because Congress, which had a framework and the whole thing ready to go, and then it was scuttled for political reasons. Compare that framework and what we know of that framework with what this is.
If Congress had acted, it would have withstood legal challenges.
Interesting.
Much more so than a proclamation, an executive order that is simply a temporary patch. An order from Congress, the law would have, the bipartisan bill that was struck was much more focused on enforcement. It had much more permanent ability to exclude individuals seeking asylum or entering the country illegally, and it provided greater funding for border officials, immigration judges, and to create a system that dealt with those who have already been let in and deal with the backlog that that is creating. And I'm disappointed that Congress did not act, leaving the executive branch to make patchwork executive orders that will not withstand scrutiny in court, I think.
I was going to say it probably won't, because it would have if the legislature went through with the legislative aspect of it. How big a shift is this, the executive order, in immigration policy?
It is huge when you look at asylum law, right? Our borders, our shores have always been in the United States a place of refuge for people who legitimately seek persecution. However, in recent years, due to how the Western Hemisphere has dealt with tragedy, wars, hunger, famine, more and more people are coming to our shores, and they're not coming to seek asylum. They're coming for economic reasons. But our laws, our asylum laws, do not embrace economic reasons. They embrace persecution by governments and people that governments in foreign countries can't control. So it does limit it, but there are provisions here that if someone is a victim of trafficking, if someone does have a legitimate asylum claim, it does give Border Patrol the opportunity to investigate those claims, to vet them more easily, and to allow those individuals to come on a case-by-case basis, but not to process them wholeheartedly as they have been doing for the last couple of years, allowing people to come in and not having the resources and then just processing them and letting them come in. That has stopped with this proclamation.
Delia Salvatierra, again, a Salvatierra Law Group. Very interesting stuff. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your insight.
Thank you for having me.